What's up, y'all? We're here for our midweek alchemy message where we are unpacking how we're approaching like our spiritual lessons for the week. And our first card from the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck is summer, followed by sulfur, followed by rotatio or rotation. Underneath summer, we have Ace of Pentacles. Underneath sulfur, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And underneath rotation, we have Three of Wands reversed. I will say that we did have spring. I want to say maybe last week. We had the spring card within the last couple of weeks. So it feels like the season that we're in, and not literally like spring and summer, because also this Friday is Beltane, which marks the midpoint between spring and summer. And it's a celebration of like fire, fertility. Our full moon is Friday, and it's at, I think, like noon 30 Central Time. So like 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time, like 10:30 Pacific Time, and it's like at 10:23, 12:23, 1:23. So we've got a lot as far as our little time increments shifting. Like spring is getting closer to summer. The moon cycles are shifting. But I mean, like, I think that the season that we've been in over the past several years, or maybe like a season of your life that maybe feels like it's been enduring for a really long time. But in the greater sort of like metaphorical sense of season, some period of like a condition we've been living in, I think is about to change. Like if you've been really struggling with like a health issue, you might be about to get on the other side of it. Or if you've been struggling with money for a long time, or feeling lost or confused about your direction in your work or something like that, you might get a lot of clarity or a new opportunity. If you've been single for a long time, you may be meeting someone soon. Or say you've been in a relationship for a long time, your relationship might shift into the next gear, right? Like maybe you've been having problems or you've been in a slump and you find a way forward to communicate and move through it, or you reach a new level of intimacy or something. But I feel like the what we've been used to and what life has been using to sort of shape us and teach us and bring us through a trial and a tribulation, I think is coming to fruition. And so I think that in that sense that it's important that we really solidify the lessons and the understanding and the embodiment of that understanding that we're taking away from that experience, because we're going to need it in the next phase in order to meet the next phase with our fullest potential and fullest wisdom. But I also think that there's like sort of like a ticking expiration date reminding us like, hey, this full moon energy, this waxing energy right now is very potent. And all those planets were in Aries. And this full moon is in Scorpio, which is death, rebirth. I mean, I know I've been feeling diabolical, honestly. Like already, I've already been harnessing and feeling this Scorpio energy. And I didn't even realize that the full moon was going to be in Scorpio. I just recently, the last couple of days, was like, I'm like diabolical lately. Like, is something going on in Scorpio? Like, what's going on? And it's this full moon coming up. So yes, the summer card, playing off the spring card that's been here recently. We must be getting closer to moving into that new season. All right. Well, and I think that too, last week we did have the Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles card come up. I remember this image. So I feel like seeds are being planted and new beginnings are really at hand. So I'm really excited about it. I didn't have time to get back into my Substack adventures today, but I'm still working on that. I'm still very confused about where to set up the paid content situation. So no one do anything hasty. You don't even have to go follow me there yet. Like, I will let you know as soon as I get it figured out, because there's going to be like a free tier of Substack will be just all my work, the whole portfolio, all in one place. Like everything from this channel and from like the other YouTube channel, it'll all be shared there. All of my written blogs, everything from all the different platforms, they'll all get shared there. All the public content will be at the Substack and the Patreon. And then in addition, I'm going to start doing additional content for like a small paid subscription for both Substack and Patreon. And that will be the same content. But that way, as I grow those, hopefully it will provide a way for me to work less shifts at the restaurant, hopefully make more content. But that's going to take like, it's realistically, if I had, 1,000 subscribers or 1,500 after taxes, that would probably replace my income now. And that's pretty doable, guys, because on our channel here, we finally got past 1,000. We're at 1,200. So I don't think it's too impossible of a goal. So I think we can do it. I'm excited, but it's not ready yet. And I'm excited about all the new or extra content to come. It'll be more like when I want to explain like a spiritual idea that's coming to me, like a revelation, like in the middle of the day or something, or like I want to go deeper into the Gnostics and Bible study and all of that. So speaking of building towards the full moon, my special project tomorrow that I'm going to like really devote myself to try to get the most of this energy today and tomorrow is figuring out the Substack stuff and Patreon. Hopefully I can get it figured out. But yes, it's giving myself grace through going down rabbit holes and wild goose chases. And we all know how that goes. So that's really funny. So it kind of ties in with our message today. I'm going to pause this and let you guys listen to the audio, and then we'll come right back and we'll go into the cards. We're closing in on the full moon. This window of waxing energy is coming to its fruition. We're being shown that we are on the verge of either ripe fruit being soon ready to harvest, or fruits at risk of spoiling on the vine. We've got to hone in on using our time wisely to focus on what's important and what is aligned with our soul's path. In some ways, it may be apparent. In other ways, it may not be. How we are wasting time and talent and need to pivot, make corrections, or start something new. We have come to the completion of one cycle, and we are about to enter into another. It's important that we navigate this with care and attention, the way an astronaut would handle the space shuttle when launching or re-entering through the Earth's atmosphere. Okay, so the summer is when something is like soon to be coming into fruition. Your plants are growing, and in the next few weeks, it's like you're going to be yielding the fruits of your labor. And the end of summer and fall is when the big harvest is, but summer, things start to flesh out, right? So we have Ace of Pentacles here as well. And so I feel like we're in the threshold of being finished with the old, which that's been like the energy that we've been coming through recently. That whole death and rebirth. We've exited Egypt and the Passover. We had death and resurrection at Easter, and now we are in the counting of the Omer, which is I haven't really been bringing it up a lot, but it's been present with me in the back of my mind. But after Passover, So during Passover, if you connected through the Seder or through any kind of observance, you, on varying degrees of your participation, connected with this particular sort of higher light that we aren't usually able to access throughout the rest of the year. There are special conditions that make it palpable for us to be exposed to that level of the Creator's light and take it in. However, as we have been learning about the concept of bread of shame, and so like the new content too, it would be a good place for me to be able to explain like these concepts in a more uniform curriculum and things like that. So that's also what the direction I'd like to go in with that stuff. So anyway, the concept that I've been talking about, bread of shame, is when we get light that we don't earn. And so it's like taking a high that we then come down from and have a hangover, right? Or we feel like we've come down off of like hard drugs, if anybody out there knows what that's like. Or, like when you have the high of going on, like a trip or something, and you come back and you're like, oh, I'm all depressed. Or like say you were a Nepo baby and you inherited your parents' like fortune and your parents' like business, and then you didn't really care about it that much, and it actually like you just kind of let it go, and then it caused a lot of problems. Or like people who win the lottery and suddenly they have all this money and they weren't like emotionally or spiritually or vibrationally prepared for it, and it like either ruins them or they squander it, or like sudden fame, like blowing up overnight, going viral, getting a whole bunch of attention and a whole bunch of money that you didn't have and you didn't really earn and expect overnight, and then it turns you into a monster, like we've all seen these examples in these stories. Well, the light that we grab that creates bread of shame, it's present all over the place. It's very mundane and common, and it happens all the time. I mean, even think of like, you're not practicing restriction. And part of earning the light sometimes is also practicing restriction, which is restraint and self-control. And so say, you go out and you get, you want to have a dinner and you're going to have a couple of drinks and you're going to have a nice meal. And because you want to eat it like when it's all hot and fresh at the restaurant, and you want a couple of glasses of wine, you want a little cocktail, maybe you overdo it. And so you drink a bit too much and you eat a bit too much, a few bites too much, and you went past the point of no return, and then you're miserable. And then like maybe you go home, you get sick because everything's too rich, sitting too rich, and then you're hungover the next day because you mixed your alcohols. And so that is like bread of shame also. Or like, if you say you're a parent that spoils your child and you think that you're the best parent on earth because you've given your child everything they've ever wanted, even things they didn't ask for. But then that child turns into like that, like they start to resent the parent, and they become like the problem child, and they rebel, and they have really bad attitudes, and they're not only spoiled, but they kind of like hate their parents, even though they've been given so much. Well, it's this thing, this weird spiritual law, like the light that we don't earn, that's like pushed on us, and we have a passive desire. We're over receiving. It like creates a weird sort of self-loathing, like a feeling of not deserving, not being worthy or whatever. So it creates a bit of chaos. So after we are exposed to all of this higher light during these particular sacred holidays through the year, there's usually a period of time that follows that there's like these, the energy goes through like these cycles that kind of go through the different varying attributes of the soul and the dimensions of the soul. And these varying kind of like energies create challenges over a period of time. Sometimes it's about like an 8-day window, but after Passover, we are in a period of like 40 days that are very challenging. And it's like the Israelites going out into the wilderness for 40 years, right? And they're challenged, and everything's uncertain, and they grow their faith and their religion. And so we, are in this time called the counting of the Omer, where all of this energy is cycling through all of these attributes of the soul, and and the energy is going through various like specific types, and it's taking us through different challenges and different things every day. And as we navigate these with greater awareness and consciousness and a change of heart, and we embody the change and the transformation that we've gone through, it like starts to solidify that light, to anchor that light in, and it becomes part of our magnetism and part of our ability to spiritually or energetically be an influence in wherever we go. The Torah portion, the Zohar lesson this morning was talking about, in the last couple of days, it's been talking about how the high priest, or Aaron, the first high priest, he was taught that he had to always have a pleasant or like beautiful countenance. Like he wasn't supposed to be like not supposed to let the people see him angry or depressed or downtrodden or upset, because he was supposed to reflect like to be the physical reflection of the light for the people. And in order for the high priest to be close to the light and be able to enter into the Holy of Holies and do all these things, the high priest had to bear vibrational affinity and purity with the Creator. And if the high priest became, downtrodden and in despair or in anger, he wouldn't be connected with the Creator. Fortunately, the connection can be restored as soon as we shift out of these states of mind. But the emphasis on these lessons has been that the inner state of peace is the channel for healing. Like being at peace within is the prerequisite for miracles to be channeled through or healing to be channeled through, because that is the release and the surrender that allows for the vessel to open, to be in a state of flow. So the key is, when we are going through life's challenges, particularly in right now the counting of the Omer, the more we can embrace whatever the circumstances are, or be in acceptance of that this is what we're working with. It's not like be in acceptance and just let it be what it is. That's not the same. That's complacency. But when you're like, okay, this is what we're working with, that's a better way to put it. It's like, all right, this is where we're starting, and we're going to make an effort here. We're not just going to leave things, in a disorganized or dysfunctional way or an unhealthy way, but we're not going to bemoan our fate, make it worse, and be in the state of suffering and be in a, bemoaning state of sorrows. Oh, woe is us, which is easy to do. But we're going to just take it on and face the challenge at hand. So coming to a level of acceptance and surrender and allows for flow, and it allows for trust and miracles to flow through. So cultivating that inner peace, like Jesus always was talking about, is the thing that allows you to be a healer of others, but also allows the healing to happen within yourself. So we are in a moment where we're coming to the fruition of something, and we're planting seeds in another way. So meeting these challenges in this moment with peace and inner peace and grace is going to help us plant positive seeds. But also we need to make use of this time, because for one thing, the full moon is culminating and all this waxing energy. We've got a few hours left to make the most of those. But just the season of our life, the things that we've been going through, what the last several years have been teaching us, we don't want to miss the jewels in that when this time is over and we're in another energy and another season. We don't want to move on and forget what we've learned. We want it to be good and embodied. And so I'm going to read the sulfur card because it's very similar to what we were just talking about being at peace. And all the things that we've been talking about the last few days about embracing even the challenging times that life is bringing you, because these are the things that are shaping you and teaching you. And so it's like we want to not miss our life's, like our soul's destiny, our soul's path of awakening and correction. And this is the Wheel of Fortune card connected to Jupiter. And what's true about this is that whatever we give Jupiter, Jupiter will expand. And so the Wheel of Fortune, it's like whatever we're giving life, what the change, the transformation, the acts of courage and valor, acts of faith and the self-sacrifice and acts of sharing, the things that we do are the things that are clicking these gears of destiny that are moving us along to our higher path, higher and higher path, higher purpose. So what we give will be given back. It's like an investment that's drawing interest, right? It expands our prospects. It expands our abundance and the benevolence of how life is treating us. So let's read sulfur. It's a really interesting card. So sulfur, evaporation, which is funny because we were talking about evaporation at work tonight in regards to something. It was really random. That was part of the card today. So sulfur is evaporation, up and out, both and. On an esoteric level, sulfur is the first of what is known in alchemy as the tria prima, or the three primes. Along with salt and mercury, it makes up a threefold phenomenon that symbolizes the uniting of the soul, which is sulfur. So sulfur represents the soul. So it symbolizes the uniting of the soul. The body is salt and the mind is mercury. So the uniting of the soul, body, and mind through the symbols of sulfur, salt, and mercury. On a tactile level, sulfur is responsible for both the off-putting smells and the therapeutic properties of a mineral bath. It soothes and it stinks, literally. To understand sulfur is to embrace a both and mentality. Don't be discouraged if the meaning of this card seems to evaporate before your eyes. For now, keep in mind that what is gross contains beauty, and what is beautiful contains its own demise. Sulfur's job is to push the geyser up and out, dissipating the pressure. Don't be surprised if what appears to suck or stink soon becomes a great gift. So where was that where it said embrace the and both and mentality? So you can say, okay, this is both uncomfortable and pleasant and unpleasant to go through, but it's also a great gift. And I'm grateful for this time because it's shaping something in me and it's teaching something. It's teaching me about something, and it's creating grit and strength and wisdom and experience within me. And so, yes, it's unpleasant, but after the fact, when we've gone through the pain, we've gone through the experience, and we look back, usually none of us would change it because we're like, well, it shaped me into the person that I am. It taught me a lot, and I really am grateful for the experience after the fact. So being able to look at our past through those eyes and come to an acceptance, even with things that we might be dealing with in this moment, there's something they're here to offer us, and it's something valuable that we couldn't get otherwise. And so paying attention to what that is will change the trajectory, I think, of our destiny, and will help us achieve something that our soul has been trying to achieve for a long time. And it's going to bring us into this next season. again, I've been reading this book in the morning the past few days, and this last pretty long chapter is about how the writer has chronic pain. He suffers from tinnitus, and it creates, I guess, a lot of like pain and pressure in the head, behind the eyes, on whatever side the inner ear, like whatever side the ear does. And then there's like ringing in the ear, and it can be dull, or it can like get turned up to more intensity and extremeness, depending on if it's certain times of year, or if he's been like, running around stressed a lot, or if he's got allergies, or, eating certain things, drinking certain things. And it's been a chronic thing over a lot, like years and years now. And he, with no conceivable end in sight, right? So he's had to develop this relationship with pain that sometimes was so bad that, it's easy to knock him out, where he can't do anything. He can't participate in life. And he didn't want it to be that way. And so he had to learn how to cope with participating in life with these extremely painful, uncomfortable, and would be disorienting and very distracting condition. And he talks about how this pain has taught him so many life skills and has given him so many things, because he's developed these virtues because of it, and just more compassion and understanding for others, that he appreciates the pain, and that even when people try to throw solutions at him, it's like he's at peace with it now. He's like, I've spent years searching for cures, and I've tried everything, and I never had any rest or peace. I was always looking for the cure. And he's like, I've learned to manage this and manage my relationship to it. And now if something comes along that heals me, great, but he's really made peace with it. He doesn't feel any kind of urgency to like run after the next treatment or anything like that. And so that is the perfect example of the sulfur card, and the destiny. It's like the things that are happening in our life are not happening to us, although it does feel that way. When we learn how to shift gears and to embrace it and understand that it's happening for us, then we can start mining it of all of the precious minerals, the precious gifts that it has to offer. And then, as I was reading his words, I was like, I could see that in this season of his life, when he's just completely like, it's not an issue for him anymore, that this would be the time that the cure would come to him, or that he would just have like spontaneous healing. Because in so many instances, I have seen that when I go through certain lessons in life or struggles in certain areas, as long as it's an issue for me, it remains an issue. But when it's not an issue for me anymore, it's not an issue. And I know that sounds like an obvious thing to say, but here's what I mean. I grew up in a house with like parents that were, mostly it was my mom that took this on, and it was the ingrained in the culture. It wasn't her fault. But, body dysmorphia issues and obsessions over like fad dieting or extreme dieting or weight loss. There was always like emphasis in our house about like looks maxing, not like in the ways that people are doing it now with like all these injections and everything like that. But had my parents had the, money and things like that to access these things at the time, we might have been, right on that bandwagon. So, I grew up inheriting that sort of fixation with calorie counting, dieting, obsessive workout, being afraid of food, being obsessed with food, being addicted to certain foods, like having little control over food, always fluctuating with my weight. It was like always a battle that I was fighting and struggling with. And then at a certain point in my life, I can't remember how I arrived at this place, but I just remember getting, getting it really in shape a few times on and off, and then gaining the weight back, and getting in shape, and gaining the weight back. And I think I just finally just made peace with it. I think when I was like, I like food. I don't want to do a diet. I just want to eat good food and take care of myself and eat real food, and that's whole food. And I think it was when I had gone to Europe a couple of times. I noticed that I wasn't really exercising like rigorously. I was just eating better food like abroad, and it didn't have a lot of like fillers and binders and processed stuff in it. And so I realized, that really makes a big impact. And so I just started eating things from scratch and eating whole foods, and it started to become a less and less and less of an issue. And then the last time that I had lost a whole bunch of weight and looked great, and then gained like more weight than I ever had in my life, I remember at one point, I got to a point where I still accepted myself. I still loved myself. I didn't beat myself up over the fact that I had perfect abs at one point, and now I was at the most weight that I'd ever weighed. And I was accepting of myself, and I still found myself to be beautiful. And it just was like, if this is it, then fine. But I feel like I can get back in shape, but I'm not going to be fixated on it or anything. And then it was like the weight just like melted off. It was like, and then after that, as long as I was reasonable, it never came back. I mean, or it does a little bit on and off, but not like before. And I felt like, that's when I realized that when weight's not an issue for me anymore, it's not an issue. When body obsession isn't an issue anymore, my body hasn't really been an issue in that way. So there have been other things like in that vein, but when something doesn't plague you, when you're not in a battle with it anymore, when it's not an issue for you, it won't be an issue for you, very likely. So having said that, the rotatio card, this is like kind of feeling like you're stuck in these same lessons and going around and around and around in circles, or you're not getting anywhere with something, right? So this one is paired. Let's see, rotatio is paired with Three of Wands. And so I feel like there's something that we need to get moving. We need to get focused. And this is why, and I'll read you Three of Wands in the reverse key from the Tarot, A Handbook for the Apprentice by Eileen Conley. This is really, really great tarot book. So Three of Wands, the reverse key, says talents, skills, efforts being wasted, new direction needed. Utilize your skills and know castles from foundations grow. A careless approach could spoil everything. This I took to immediately about the Substack, because when that lady said, oh my gosh, I built a whole audience and I've got all these subscribers and they're subscribed to my profile, not even a Substack. I didn't even realize I hadn't started a Substack. I was like, oh my gosh, thank God somebody pointed this out, because I hadn't started a Substack either. I just had started a profile, and they set it up really confusing, and other people say it's confusing too. It's not just me. So be careful if you're working on something and you have a feeling that you might be missing something, or there might be something off. Pay attention to that, because this is why I haven't, for months, I've been like posting to this and kind of getting the hang of it, but I felt like there was something off that I wasn't understanding in that, and it's very true. So a careless approach could spoil everything. So cross your T's and dot all your lowercase j's. Check all information before moving ahead with new ventures. So like very Mercury retrograde, Mercury in the microwave vibes right now. It's like double check everything, like make sure that you know what you're doing before you move forward, because you don't want to start something and then having it go, gaining momentum, and then there's like a built-in mistake, right? Being proud or overly confident is the wrong attitude to take, could mean a downfall. So, and it says, next to the wheel of fortune, a positive attitude will win the day. So again, we're shaking off the depression. We're shaking off the anxiety. We're shaking off the ennui. We're getting moving, but we're not going to have hubris and arrogance and think that we've got everything all figured out and be overconfident in our approach, because we're going to miss some valuable detail that is going to be a mistake that we'll regret. So be very careful, look up what you're doing, try to get some expert advice to weigh in and help you. And I believe that was part of our manifestation message recently too, was like, look out, like people are going to be helping you. Or maybe it was from the Lunation reading. It was probably from our new moon reading, that like helpers are out there and they want to give you assistance. So pay attention to synchronistic advice that you overhear or gets brought up, right? Just the right timing. Follow up on that, right? Somebody recommends like, oh, maybe I've got a video you should watch on this, or I've got a book that might help you. Like, take heed. All right. All right, that is all for tonight, y'all. Tomorrow we will be back for our weekly romance oracle message, and I'll be working hard on trying to figure out getting the Substack and Patreon squared away in time for the full moon. And I hope you guys get your projects and things and any kind of last minute stuff you want to do, seeds well planted before that energy expires. We have until Friday. If you're on the West Coast, 10:23, and Central Time would be 12:23, and Eastern Time would be 1:23 is the full moon. So we'll see. That's Friday on Beltane. All right, y'all. Peace be with you. Ciao.